Hey everyone, it's Alexis. I hope you are all doing well today. There is finally this crisp feeling to the air outside in California. It's been very hot the last few weeks, and it finally feels like fall is almost here, which is my favorite season. So I'm really excited to share with you today some ideas for Halloween. I'm going to show you how to make this cute little festive witch's hat using just two simple die sets and some of our really great making essentials. But I really just want to get right into it because I love Halloween. I love decorating for Halloween, and last year we didn't really get to celebrate the way we want to, and this year you might be able to celebrate a little bit more. So I've got an idea for a couple different ways you can decorate around the house, how you can use this same kind of concept for decorating food for parties or placemats or things like that. So I'm going to get right into it, and we're going to get right down to making some spooky, fun stuff for Halloween. Okay, so first things I'm going to show you, we are going to be making these little witches hats, and I've done them in a variety of different kind of tonal patterns, and I'll show you which things I was using in order to create them all. But in order to even make the base, you're going to need two different die sets. So the first one, this is our Framelits circles die set. So you get 8 in a pack. They're nested circles, so you can really great base shapes for a lot of projects. I use these and a lot of our other nested shapes as great base pieces for mini rosettes, like for the cupcake toppers, for cutting out different background shapes on scrapbook pages. They're just really nice to have as great kind of everyday staple pieces. So we have them in a variety of shapes. We have squares, triangles, hearts, stars, but I love the circles. They range in obviously very small to large sizes, so they're just perfect for basic shapes, but I'm actually going to show you how I made hats using just that die set as the base. And then from our chapter 3 collection, I am using this really creepy, ghouly die set called Creeps. Ironically enough, it's called Creeps, which has a beautiful, I say beautiful, but I actually really love this tree. It's very spooky, but it's one of my favorite pieces to work with, and it's actually quite small in this embellished image right here, but the tree itself is actually a pretty decent size, so it makes for a great card front if you like sending out spooky cards to your friends, or even on an invitation to a spooky party. But you get some ghouls and some ghosts, but I wanted to use the pumpkins from this set as part of a rosette kind of clasp. So those are the two die sets I'm using. And I also wanted to show you just a few of the papers I'm using too. So I've pulled in from a couple different cardstock sets for different ones I've used. So I've pulled in from our assorted cardstock set, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. But if you aren't familiar with our Making Essentials and our Surfaces range, and the Sizzix Surfaces range, we have a pattern paper pad. I'm going to move this one out just for a second. And the pattern paper is fantastic. It matches with our color story. So it matches with the 20 colors that come in our assorted cardstock pack. But what's really nice is you're getting 80 sheets of patterned cardstock, but they're double-sided. So really you're getting 160 different patterns. And you get them in 20 different colors, in 4 different designs. I think it's 4 different designs per 4 different papers, I should say, and then you get 8 designs per color. But I've used the gray and or I should say the cobblestone and the purple dusk colors from here. So I've used the dark purple to kind of work on some of the hats, and I love just having these for scrapbooking and card making, but I wanted to show you how you can pull them into paper crafting too today. So I've got those, and then I'm also using some of our black cardstock from our neutral cardstock pack. This has some really nice neutrals in it, so we've got some dark grays, navy, things like that that you might be using more so for upcoming spooky makes for the holiday. I know Halloween is not a really huge holiday all over the world, we'll say, but I know that it definitely is something that we celebrate pretty big here in the U.S., and I know other countries are starting to celebrate it more and more. So I wanted to make some just kind of like paper decor for you could use these as place settings with someone's name. You could use them and do hang tabs and make them ornaments kind of hanging from branches. They could actually sit on top of a mason jar filled with candy. There's a lot of different ways that you can use these, even just to decorate around the house. You could just make the witch's hat without the rosette on top. So we're going to go through a few of those. So I'm going to pull in my Big Shot machine real quick. And I'm going to cut the main pieces. So what I did is I took the largest circle from the circles framelit set, and I am going to cut out of the Purple Dusk polka dot paper. I'm going to use that to create the cone for my my witch's hat. I'm looking for my other, just set it down, I'm looking for my other cutting pad. So I'm just going to use this real quick and run it through my machine. And what's nice is you only have to cut like a couple pieces. These are really easy to put together, so if you're having to make quite a few for decorations, they're really quick and simple. If you want to just make the hat, you don't have to add the rosette on top, because I know the rosette can take a little bit more time to put together. But if you wanted to make like a couple that were just a little spooky, or not spooky, but a little bit more decorative, they don't take that much longer to put together. I made quite a few of these in a short span of time the other day. So now I'm just going to cut another circle, a smaller size. I could probably tell you how big these ones are. So this one's about 2.5 inches. And then the larger one, I'm pretty sure is 4, but let me just double check that. Yeah, so did the large one 4 inches, and this one's about 2.5 inches. So those are the two pieces those are really the only two pieces you need to make the actual hat itself. But then I've also cut out of this really beautiful botanical rust orange color one of the small pumpkin heads from the Creeps die set. So you need one of those. But that's it for die cutting as far as it goes for this particular project, which I love. When you want to make a lot of something, the simpler it is to put together, the better. But I love that you can customize these and make them as decorative as you want. So first things first, I'm going to show you how you actually assemble the cone. You're going to need a pair of scissors. I'm going to use my Sizzix scissors right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut a portion of this out so that you can actually fold it into a cone shape. So from the center bottom, now if you're someone that needs to be precise, get your ruler out and you can do that. I just like to eyeball things, and then it just makes my life easier or difficult at times. But I'm just going to cut out like a pie shape, so like a third of that. And what I found as I was actually like putting these together was that you want to kind of curve with it. So I got out my fold and form tool and just kind of curved the shape so that that cone becomes a little bit, you don't get those harsh lines if you're doing cardstock. It just helps you start to do the curve like the cone. So what you're going to do is take one of these ends and fold it over the other end until you get your, it's almost like a party hat shape. And depending on how large or tall you want your cone, obviously you want to cut a bigger circle the bigger you want the hat. These particular die sets only go up to the 4 inches, so if you want a bigger one, then you're going to have to draw a bigger circle. I know if you have a plus machine that we do have a bigger circle set, so that one you can also look into if you want to die cut them. So I'm just going to place some liquid adhesive. You can also do double-sided tape, whatever is easiest for you when you're working. I find when I'm putting together paper crafts, I like to work with a liquid adhesive. I know I have to hold them a little bit longer, but I find that they just tend to stick together better when I do that. So I got my express glue, which is a little bit more quick drying, thankfully. And as you can see, I just went and I kind of figured out what shape I wanted. So obviously if you want it a little bit wider, you can do different types of hats. I want mine very tall and skinny, so I've tapered it in quite a bit more. So what I'll do is once I've kind of figured that out, I push this top in a little bit more just so it becomes like a firm crease line. And then I will just add some glue to this panel, and then I'll run it back over until I get back to kind of where that initial shape I wanted. So I'll glue this down. If you don't want glue coming out to the edge, you want to make sure that you're putting your glue further back because obviously it will move towards the center. And then if you want to add some in here to kind of hold this internal piece down, you can just add a small dab of glue and then just hold that in place. But it's really simple. You take a circle, you cut out a quarter of it, and then you have the base of your hat shape ready to go. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Because you have such a thin shape right here, you can do liquid adhesive and put it on. And you might, if you're really careful and you're talented like that, you can kind of avoid, we'll say, the glue that would seep out. You can also cut a hole in here and then have the hat go through. If you did another circle on the inside, and then you can have the hat go through, and this just becomes a brim. So you can glue it that way. I honestly just took a little bit of liquid adhesive and went around the rim because I knew I was going to add some crepe paper decoration to this, so I knew it would cover up any glue that kind of seeps out. And that's what I would recommend, so you don't have to worry. You can put hot glue on this, and then you can just put some ribbon around the base. A lot of witches' hats have that ribbon with the buckle or a bow or something like that. So you can do that, which I'm doing, which is why I'm not really caring if my glue seeps out because I know I'm going to cover it up with some crepe paper. So I made this a little bit wider than I should have for this base, but I would have cut like a bigger circle so it looks more like a hat, but we're going to go with what we got right here. But if I were doing this with that, if I had more paper on hand, I would have cut a larger circle. So you definitely want to make sure, maybe you might want to make all your cones first and then go back and cut out the brims of the hats. So I'm going to let that sit off to the side and adhere together. And while that's adhering, I'm going to put together my rosette. So I wanted to show you real quick how I made the rosette. I took black cardstock, and on a scoring board, I hope you can see the score lines. I think if I hold it towards the light, you can. I went, and every ½ inch on here, I used the scoring tool portion of the fold and form tool, and I scored every ½ inch all the way down this panel. So this is the full length of the black cardstock from our neutral cardstock pack, and I cut them a ½ inch wide, and then I scored every ½ inch. And then what you'll do is there's like a little portion right here that doesn't end up being a full ½ inch, and I'm just going to cut that portion off. And then I accordion them along the entire length. And once you've accordioned it, you'll see you've got this really great beginning to a rosette. So you'll accordion them, and then I always like push them really tight together on the two sides so that I get a really nice accordion shape. Then what you do is you adhere the two ends together, these two pieces to each other, and you'll end up with something like this, which is a rounded rosette ready to go. So you're going to need hot glue for this. You can use liquid adhesive, but because I'm kind of doing this a little bit fast, I am going to use hot glue for the center. So once you've got your rounded rosette, you're going to push in the shape towards the middle so that you actually can get that rosette. And my rosettes have been being funky with me the last day or two as I've been putting all these together, so I've been having to like slowly put them together, and I don't know why they're being like this. I had no problem putting all the other ones together. That's the nature of crafting. Sometimes I feel like my rosette is not very sturdy. That's probably why. Sometimes you just have to bear with it when you're crafting. There we go. All it takes is just that one. Okay, so once you've got it, this is kind of what it'll look like. And what you're going to do is open it up gently and put hot glue into the well and then hold it in place. So I've got my hot glue ready off to the side with my glue gun. And I'm literally just going to place a small kind of dab, make sure it goes all the way down the well. And then I'll push those pieces together and I'll hold them in place until it really kind of takes. So obviously I cut these a 1/2 inch wide. If you want them to be larger, you can cut rosettes and do them to whatever size you want. There's also die sets that I believe we have on our website that will cut the rosettes for you. I was kind of customizing my size to fit to the top of the hat, so I played around a couple of times till I found the size that I thought looked right with it. So then once that's taken, I'm going to take my little Halloween pumpkin and I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back side. And then I'm going to glue that to the center of my rosette. So that's what you get. Cute. How cute is it? It's such a mini rosette, and I love that. I know it's probably everyone's at home going, that's so tiny. But you can obviously make them a little bit bigger, especially if you're making bigger hats. So we'll put that off to the side while that's kind of still drying. And then I also created a fringe, and I made this fringe using some of our crepe paper. And if you aren't aware, we have crepe paper now. So I used this orange crepe paper color I had because I think orange and dark purple and are very kind of Halloween colors, and I just wanted to pull in some of our crepe paper so you could see the different color variations we have. So this first pack is called I'm trying to remember off the top of my head which one's this one is called. This one's called Color Splash. I should know these by the top of my head. As you can tell, this one has like a really kind of dark yellow, which also could be an orange. So I think these 3 tones and even this really dark purple are great for kind of fall Halloween, especially these colors right here are very fall in tone. So great options if you're working on pumpkins in general or Halloween crafts. And then this one is called Serenity. And Serenity has, again, some like orange yellows in it that could be perfect for fall Halloween, and then these really dark purples, purple and black. I love putting those together for Halloween. Obviously I did a purple and black hat. And then this one called Vintage definitely has some more fall tones and the greens in it, and then these are really dark kind of, I don't know if they're cranberry, they're darker purple, they're like plum. These ones definitely are great for fall colors as well. What I like about the crepe paper sets is you kind of get enough in them to do spring and summer and fall. So that's really nice. So I used this really bright orange that we have, and this one is from that last pack that I showed you, the vintage pack. So I used this orange color right here. And what I did is I cut a sliver of it, folded it in on itself, and glued the inner part so that I could fold it on itself. And then I just took a pair of my scissors and I went all the way up and cut a fringe, and then just pulled them apart so I could create a really fun fringe. And I knew I was going to add this to the hat, and I hope that I've cut it to the right size of this hat, which I didn't because I thought the hat would be a little bit smaller, but we'll make it work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go slowly around the brim of this hat and just add a little bit of hot glue and go around and add the fringe onto it. Just glue that in place. Now I'm not really worried. I'm just going to glue it on, and then I'll pull the fringe which way I want it to go after the fact. You don't need a lot, which is nice because crepe paper and hot glue, they just go together really quickly. So you can see I'm just lightly pushing it in. And what's nice is like you can get crepe paper, obviously through us we have different colors, but if you just want black and white, any party store has crepe paper, and you can, especially if you're wanting to use black for spooky projects, you can pick some up there and then create the same type of fringe effect on your projects. Okay, so mine's a little short because, like I said, I accidentally made my cone a little too wide. I should have gone in a little bit further, but I think you get the effect. And then I'm just going to go through and pull down and pull out my fringe where I want it to be. And what's nice about this is I can go in and I can cut a smaller piece and just adhere that, and you wouldn't even be able to tell. So it's the beauty of crepe paper. It covers up a lot. You can do a couple different colors together, but that is kind of where you get your hat. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I am going to go back and I'm going to add some more in to finish that off as soon as the video's over, because I don't have any more sitting right here. Actually, I do. What am I talking about? I'm just going to cut a little piece. Why not? Show you how I made the fringe to begin with. So you just cut a little strip. I'm obviously cutting mine way too big, but I'll cut it down to size for my little portion. And then I literally just went down the center with some glue and then folded it in half and just let that glue kind of take. Okay. And this is probably a little too wide, so I'm just going to trim this down just a wee bit. Okay. And then you just go in, and I kind of know where my glue ends, so I'll just go in and add the fringe. And there's no rhyme or reason to the fringe. You can go as skinny or as wide as you want to. But I know I only need like a small portion, so I'm actually just going to cut to there. And then I'm going to trim this down just a little bit more. And then I always rough it up before I actually put it on the project, and then I'll rough it up some more once it's on the project as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit more hot glue right here. And I'm kind of glad that happened, so you can see how you can make it work even if you mess up like I did. Because no one will be able to tell, because once you pull the fringe down, it all looks like one happy family. I'll just trim that one off, and then I'll tuck this one underneath. And then I'll just pull the fringe down, and then it looks like one concentric piece, even though I messed up and didn't cut enough. You just cut a little bit more and you fit it in, and it worked perfect. Don't you love when a plan comes together? So then the last thing to do is to fit our rosette on top of the hat. Now you could stick like a stick down the middle and then attach it to like that, but I just put a little bit of hot glue. I figure out which portion it kind of fits onto. So let me do this. So I think I'm going to have it go on that one. So I just figure out where that is, and then I put a little bit of hot glue in that one. And then I fit it to the top and hold it in place while that hot glue sets. So if you wanted to, without the rosettes on top, you could actually, before you put the brim of the hat on, you could tie a knot. Take a string, tie a knot, and pull the string through the top, and then these can become hanging witches' hats, which are really fun. I see those kind of spooky details throughout the Halloween months. People hang them from, branches, or they'll put them across the tabletop. They'll have a bunch of hats hanging down. But I just thought these would be really cute, and then you can stick someone's name right here, and these could be place settings at a table if you're having like a Halloween party. So I've got a couple here so you can see. And then I did a few plain ones where I just did two-tone, where I actually took some purple cardstock and the pattern paper, and I just made some plain ones. I did one where I did purple again. As you can tell, I like the purple and the black. I did purple on purple here as well. So it really is up to you how you make these look, but I thought I would show you just a couple of other quick ideas. If you don't want to do hats and you want to just do some cupcake toppers, again, you can do that rosette shape and then just add a little element onto it. And if you wanted to do a bigger cupcake topper, you just make a bigger rosette and then you can use some of those larger pumpkins that are in the die set. Or if you don't want to have something on the back, then you can literally just make the rosette and put them on toothpicks and put them in the hors d'oeuvres and things like that. But it's really fun. And then I do want to mention, because I know Debbie Farinella just recently did a blog with these two die sets. This one is called Cute Ghosts, for obvious reason. It's the cutest ghost ever. And this one is our autumn pumpkin. And she just did a really cute blog on how to make felt garlands using these. So you definitely want to check that out because it's got some more cute decorative stuff for Halloween. But that is it for our fun little party witches hats. I kind of thought these were a fun take on pom-poms. Instead of having a pom-pom at the top of a party hat, instead of having a Halloween rosette. But as you can see, they don't take long to put together, and if you don't want to make them as decorative and you want to make them more simple, they really are quick and fast and easy. The taller you want the cone, the larger you want them. Especially if you wanted to decorate a mason jar full of candy, you can make these a little bit bigger in size and then use this at the top and then use the crepe paper around the rim of the jar and just have like a really fun candy set that you give to maybe a teacher or a neighbor or a friend, but just really fun crafts in general for Halloween. Okay, that is how you make fun, cute, like they're little mini witches hats. They're just so stinking cute. I love how they turned out. But again, these are really simple crafts and they're quick and easy to put together and they don't require a ton of supplies, which I think when we're making for Halloween, you want it a little bit more simplified. I know people go all out for Halloween sometimes, but then there's people that just want like simple crafts, things to do with the kids, fun things for parties, stuff like that. So I thought that would be a great one. You can obviously size them up, size them down, customize them to whatever, which size hat you want, no pun intended, which hat. But if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. And if you do end up making any of these, I would love to see them. So be sure to hashtag my making story so we can share any of the crafts that you choose to make for the upcoming holidays. So I think that's it for me today. I hope you are all keeping safe and I will see you again soon.